Good afternoon, fans, and welcome to Lemoyne Field. We got a conference matchup, doubleheader of soccer today. Michael Vesci joining you live here on the campus of Post University. Game 1 of the afternoon, women's soccer taking on Georgian University. The Lions coming into this game under the guise of James Moore in his 19th season. They come in with a 2-3-3 record, 1-0-2 in conference play. The Eagles looking to get back in the win column. They're 1-6 on the year, 0-3 in conference play so far. Coming off a tough loss the other day against the University of Bridgeport, a game in which they lost 5-1. Eagles in their last 3 games on this losing skid that they've been on have only scored 3 goals. They've been outscored 14-3. They'll see if they can get the tide turning. Last game, it was Amber McGee who scored a goal less than a minute into play, but then defensive mistakes and errors led to 5 goals for the University of Bridgeport. They would go on to win that one big. Eagles, though, it would be big to get that first conference win today, and they have a chance to do that against a Georgian Court team that comes into this game having won their last 2, tied the previous 3 before that. They haven't lost in their last 5 matchups. They started the year 0-3, all non-conference opponents, all by scores of 2-0. Then they tied 3-3, tied 1-1, tied 3-3 again, and then beat St. Thomas Aquinas 1-0 and just beat Holy Family 3-2. So that's what we're kind of looking at in terms of what these teams are coming into today. The leading goal scorers, there's 3 of them for Georgian Court, all with 2 apiece. And then on the other side for the Eagles, the offense has been coming primarily from Amber McGee on the defensive end. We're still waiting to see that goal, the first goal, I should say, of the year from Haley McGee, who led the team last year in goals with double-digit goals, the only player to do that. We'll see if she can get on the scoreboard today. If the Eagles can strike first, hopefully their defense can hold and continue to play strong down the stretch and get their team a big win to get some momentum as they continue to roll through conference play. We're waiting for the Eagles to take the field. They're in a huddle over near the sideline as Georgian Court is ready to go on the field. And while they're ready to go on the field, how about we take a look at their starters? It's Carly Polchak in the net for Georgian Court. Also on the pitch, Paige Coulahan, Abby Kennelly, Juliana Rattino, Emily Clayton, Jessica Ford, Ashley Marizaldi, Brianna Parkinson, Carissa Robbins, Letitia De Silva, and Aaliyah Canfield. And then for your Eagles, it's Alexis Campbell making the start in net. Zoe Meyer, Bianca Stiles, Amber McGee, Lydia Asamoah, Haley McGee, Kaylee Sirianni, Kayla Agostinelli, Alyssa Hebb, Jordan Callis, and Larissa Blunt-Sheely. All on the pitch for your Eagles as we kick it off here on a cloudy afternoon here at Lemoyne Field. The rain finally stopped just before kickoff, so at least it's getting a little bit nicer here in New England after we got so much rain the past 2 days. It's been tough to get some good weather games in for soccer so far this year. Pretty much all the games except for the first 2 that this team played on this field have been nice. Even the one game that men's soccer played against Franklin Pierce wasn't the nicest weather either in the morning. Hot, humid, but today nice and cool with an overcast sky, mid-60s as it looks like the Lions looking to make a run down here. Agostinelli breaks it up. Once more, she does it again as Sirianni now coming out to get it. Now that one's coming towards us. Sorry for the quick break there. We're trying to fix up our live stats here. A little bit short-staffed today, but we're back on air with you. Nothing really doing in the last minute or so in which we were off, but now we're got the live stats up and running, and we're ready to roll here with this game this afternoon. So, Eagles in the middle of the field. Georgian Court had a few opportunities that Kayla Agostinelli broke up just a moment ago that you saw, and now the Eagles looking to see what they can do with the ball in the backfield. With it is Agostinelli and McGee. Agostinelli now carrying it up the pitch, and now she's going to try and get it over to Blunt-Sheely, excuse me. Agostinelli back to McGee. Over to Stiles there. As we take a look, too, at Alexis Campbell. She's played in one game for 45 minutes, gave up 4 goals. Erin Nisbet's been the primary starter so far this year, playing in over 531 minutes. 7 games played, but it'll be Campbell getting the start today. That one's in there deep, and now Sirianni looking to see if she can do something with Sirianni. Over to McGee. That was Haley McGee getting the shot on Polchak. Yeah, just like I said just before we started, Haley McGee trying to get her first goal of the year. Nearly had it right there. Just couldn't quite get under it. McGee's got a powerful foot, though, so if she can get under it, she probably could have lifted that one into the top of the net. Slippery conditions today, so we'll probably see a few balls go a little bit lower than teams would normally expect them to, but that's to be expected with conditions like this out here on the pitch. Eagle is trying to manufacture another run. That one's going to go out. It'll be a goal kick. No, apologies. It's actually going to be a corner kick for the Eagles, and that's going to be taken by Haley McGee. We've primarily seen Alyssa Hebb or Sierra Tarantino taking the kick so far. Tarantino did not start today, so that's probably why we're seeing McGee. Sirianni running towards the sideline, and she's going to grab that on the side, kick it back out to McGee. McGee now firing on net wide, and that will be a goal kick now for sure for Polchak. About 5 minutes have gone by here. 2 shots on goal for your Eagles so far. So good momentum after what happened last game, in which they kind of struggled a little bit after that opening minute or two against Bridgeport. They were outshot. I believe the final total was 35-2 in total shots. So far today, off to the right start, equaling the number of shots on goal that they had last game already. It's a nice run down the pitch there by the Lions, is broken up by Bianca Stiles. Georgian court to throw in. That one's headed by Stiles, picked up over there by Ford. Ford now is going to throw it in real quick. Both teams just moving as quickly as possible. Ford now firing towards the middle. Marizaldi now kicking it back over, was trying to hit Ratino, unable to do so. And now looks like we'll get a goal kick for Campbell, her first of the game. Alexis Campbell from Attleboro, Massachusetts, a freshman. There's 2 freshmen on this team for the goalkeeping staff. Then you got Hannah Marriott as well and Claire Saeed, both juniors. All 4 goalies, like I've said, have seen playing time so far this year, as that one's going to be kicked out by Hebb. Asamoah can't quite get ahead on it. Robbins now kicks it back into the offensive half. Ford now with it. Going to give it over to Canfield. Canfield coming down the pitch. Gets it over to Clayton. Clayton trying to work through some defenders there. Hebb gets it out. And now coming the other way with it is Haley McGee. McGee kind of missteps, and now is going to just kick it down the field. Hustling after it is going to be Robbins. Robbins going to stop it, but Callis right there. Callis looking to try and do something, but Asamoah is going to back her up. That gives Callis the chance to move towards the middle. Can't quite get a foot on it completely, as that one's tipped out by Clay. But now Callis gets it back on the steal from Robbins. She kind of pushes it towards the net, and Polchak's going to pick it up, and we'll go the other way with the ball once again. James Moore shouting instructions to his team. That one's kicked to midfield. Sirianni right there heads it back towards the offensive half. Canfield now. Now Sirianni once again with it. Looking to pass it over to Hebb. Gets it to Hebb. Hebb now is going to kick it in. Blocked in front by Parkinson. And now back with it comes the Lions, as we're going to get a whistle here. It looks like there was a foul called on the play, and then Renato Topali exchanging some words with the head referee there. Trying to figure out the positioning of this ball. Georgian court arguing where it should be placed. That one's headed in by Blunt-Shealy, and now Sirianni in there. Nope. Nothing doing there. Polchak picks it up, and will go the other way with it for the Lions. It looks like a foul called in the box, probably against Sirianni. It was offsides, actually. I didn't see the flag go up. Stiles now's got it. That's Amber McGee with it. I'll try to make sure I differentiate between the two McGees because they are sisters on this team. One does play on the defensive end, but the one on the defensive end has been the sister with more goals so far this year. So bragging rights currently in the family in the backfield for Amber McGee so far this year, leading 2-0 in the head-to-head sister matchup there. As that one's thrown in and it's kicked away by Agostinelli. Canfield, though, is going to pick it up and run down the left side with it. Met by a wall of Eagles there. Sirianni now with it the other way. Moving around with it is Sirianni. Ratino is all over her. Now kicked back towards the middle. Coulihan's got it. Coulihan on the offensive side is going to get it over to De Silva. De Silva now on the right side of the pitch. Fires it in deep. Campbell right there makes the save. And the Eagles control. Good back and forth possession so far here through the first about 10 minutes or so. We're approaching the 36-minute mark, so 9 minutes or so I should say. But good back and forth so far as we finally see a slide right there from Ford. Again, this turf is pretty slippery. Just off to our left on the softball field. Tons of water from the rain that's come through the past few days. Clayton fires on Campbell. Save by Campbell. Eagles still remain scoreless in this one, but the Lions making a good offensive push over these last few minutes to try and take an early lead. Gotta like what you see so far from the Eagles, though, hustling out in front of these Lion defenders, trying to get something working. They've had a few shot opportunities. That one bounces off of Clayton's knee. Sirianni now to throw in. Down the sideline near Asamoah. Clayton is going to be right there. Asamoah is still fighting for it. Canfield, though, has got it back up the pitch. Asamoah right behind her. And then Canfield is going to just kick that one out of bounds. It'll be another throw in for the Eagles. And that will be taken by Sirianni right in front of us here up on the landing. Sirianni back to Agostinelli in the backfield. Amber McGee with it. Over to Bianca Stiles on the left side. Can't quite see that number from over there. That looks like it was Zoe Meyer who just had it, but there's a turnover. Now Canfield's got it the other way. Coming down with it is Marizaldi. Marizaldi splits two defenders. Marizaldi now is going to go all the way, and she's going to probably try and cross this. She does, and there's right there. Oh, man. Abby Kennelly was right there for the opportunity to score the first goal of the game for the Lions. Kennelly not able to quite get it in. It just glances off of her foot and goes out of bounds. Goal kick coming. Eagles avoid some trouble there at just about the 35-minute mark. We remain scoreless, though. What an impressive run right there, though, from Clayton to split through Sirianni and Agostinelli and get right into the box. Essentially had Campbell one-on-one, but had that near side post guarded heavily, so she had to force a cross pass over to see if they could get it in on that side, on the empty side of the net. Haley McGee just ran right down the field after that pass from Callis. Wasn't quite able to get to it. But now out with it is Meyer. Meyer over to Heb. Back into the backfield. Agostinelli back there with Amber McGee. Agostinelli now is going to kick it up the middle. Bluntshili not quite there to get it. Now with it, Marizaldi. Marizaldi gets right around Agostinelli, and now Marizaldi off to the races. She's got McGee in front of her. Cross pass once again. Kennelly not quite there to get it. So that's going to be another goal kick for your Eagles. It almost sounds like we're calling an auction on air right now. Both teams just running back and forth from the 50 to the 40 to the 30 to the 25, 20, and back the other way. Back and forth they go throughout these first 11 minutes and change so far. Lots of action, more than we've honestly seen in any game so far this year in terms of just the speed of play right off the bat. It's been a lot more of a slow, methodical game for the teams that have come here to face the Eagles and from the Eagles in general. But today we're seeing both teams coming out ready to fire on all cylinders for both teams. Crossing that one is Kennelly. And over there to grab it is Marizaldi. And that one's going to go in the water, which our event staff kindly pushed away before the game started. Appreciate all their hard work to make these games happen out here. And now that's going to be Clayton's save by Kennelly. Kennelly on that right side has had a few opportunities. That's the first shot she's been able to get on net. Agostinelli now is going to kick that one up. Asamoah just not right there to grab it. That's Clayton right in front of you. Asamoah blocks it. Asamoah now in front of Clayton. Clayton didn't have to do much there. Asamoah kind of tripped over her own feet while trying to get fancy with it. And back the other way with it come the Lions. Going to go out of bounds, though, and now it's going to be Sirianni to throw in for the Eagles. Up the pitch to Asamoah around the 45. Asamoah really nowhere to go with Canfield all over her, so she's going to kick it back to Sirianni, but Clayton's going to get that out. Be another throw in for the Eagles. Sirianni once again. 32 minutes and change to go here in the first half. Still tied at 0-all. Sirianni thought about going down in the offensive half of the field, but saw that there are defenders all over the Eagles' offense. Goes into the backfield to Augustinelli. Over to Amber McGee with it now. McGee facing off against Rotino. They're going to get it back to Augustinelli. Augustinelli going to just wail on that up the middle, and it's blocked in front by Canfield. So far what we've seen from that defense trying to get it over the midfield is the passes haven't been too high in the air, so they're able to easily be taken down by the Lions defense. A little bit of a miscue there by Clayton. Asamoah unable to make an opportunity out of it. Now Canfield the other way with it. Augustinelli headed it back to Canfield, and now off to the races we go again. Rotino down the line. Augustinelli, a nice break there. And now Amber McGee is going to kick it back out to about the 50. You'll take that throw in if you're the Eagles all day, though. Get a little bit of a rest back on the defensive end because the Lions are coming fast and furious through that defensive side. But so far we've seen Sirianni, Augustinelli, and Amber McGee kind of hold the line pretty well in terms of avoiding those odd man rushes down the pitch. Back to midfield, is it? That was kicked by Da Silva. It's down low, and over there to get it is Mirazaldi. Mirazaldi draped all over. Now it's over to Canfield. Canfield tries to get over to Clayton. Clayton heavily guarded by Sirianni. That's going to be a throw-in. Nope, Sirianni thought it was theirs. It's actually going to be the Lions. Lots of action around Post University today. We have 3 home games for you besides women's soccer, men's soccer coming right up after this against Georgian Court. And then we also down at the Ice Center in Shelton have women's ice hockey, their second game of the year. They lost 2-0 to Syracuse yesterday. A really tough matchup. They played really well, though, throughout. We'll see if Gretchen Silverman's team can get a big upset win. We'll have Kevin Sachs on the call for you for that one. That one comes up at 1:15. Women's volleyball got underway at 11 o'clock against Wilmington. We got underway at noon, and women's tennis got underway at noon against Chestnut Hill. Later on today, football playing Fairmont State at 2 o'clock. And then, of course, like we said, Georgian Court men's team taking on your Eagles later on after this. Georgian Court has really controlled the pace for the last few minutes now after I mentioned they made that rush with about 8 minutes to go. It's been really all them since. And that one's going to be fired wide by Parkinson out of bounds. Goal kick coming up for the Eagles with 29 minutes and change remaining. If you're the Eagles right now, just slow it down. Give your players a little bit of a breather. And work it up slowly. It seems like they came out flying fast and have kind of slowed things down a little bit more and are getting a little bit tired behind that Lions attack that keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. Once they get that ball, they're just kind of running up with it. As Haley McGee, a nice pass to Asamoah. Asamoah, fancy footwork, is going to try and hit McGee. Can't quite get that pass threaded between the defenders as Coulahan's there to break it up. Blunt Shealy is able to break up that rush, and now we've got Styles kind of all over Mirazaldi, and that's going to go out of bounds. There's a ball on the pitch. That's going to be thrown in now by Clayton at around the 50-yard line right in front of us. Clayton on the throw-in now gets it over to Rotino. Rotino now kicking it across the field. Over to Kennelly. Kennelly, far side. Oh, we got a slip down there by, can't quite see the number. Yeah, that's Zoe Meyer. That's the one number I can't see, folks, on the far side. But now that I know that she's on the far side, more than likely it's going to be Zoe Meyer that's going to get that call right there. As that one's going to be out of bounds. And looks like we got our first corner kick of the day for the Lions. Coming from the far right side. That one's just kind of lifted in, and it's blocked away by Meyer. So we have another corner kick coming. Looks like that's Carissa Robbins. Robbins on the far side, firing it in. That was a nice header by Rattino, not able to get anything on net, though, and then over to get it was Mirazaldi, but then the Eagle defense coming up big. Asamoah, look at her rumbling down the field, but it's broken up by Coulihan. Asamoah pretty much only had her to beat, and she would have been down the field probably one-on-one with either Polchak or one of the Lions defenders that was going to try and come over to help if they had the angle. Sirianni to throw in now from exactly the 50-yard line. And she's just going to elect to go into the backfield over to Stiles, who gets it back to Sirianni, but it's over her head, and that'll be a throw-in. Mirazaldi with it. Rattino off the head, and now Amber McGee with it in the backfield. Over to Stiles. It looks like we've got a little bit of reversal as well. Agostinelli now seems to have gone to the right side of that defensive end, and Stiles is now on the left side. So a little bit of a switch up for Coach DePauli's team here midway through the first half. Defensively, McGee still anchoring that middle of the field, though. Amber McGee. Got a goal kick coming up here for Campbell. She's just going to roll it in. Stiles with it. Is going to look to boot it down and just going to get it to the foot of Haley McGee, and that one's going to go off of Clayton and out of bounds, and now McGee to throw in. Haley McGee down the pitch, throws it. I mean, that throw went about 30 yards. And she tried to hit Jordan Callis. Wasn't able to do so. Heb now's got it. Heb is somebody that you don't want to give too much space. Alyssa Heb can whale it from about 45 yards out and still have the leg on it to go probably another 5 to 10. If she played football, she'd be a heck of a field goal kicker for the Eagles. I mean, she can hit it from that 45 and still it'd be over the net sometimes. So she's got a powerful leg, and if she has the opportunity to get space and get the Eagles some odd man rushes down the field and get them in a position to score, she's going to be able to do it with that leg. Sirianni now to throw in from about the 39-yard line down the offensive end of the field. Stepping with it, and she seems a little frustrated because it looks like the Eagles just don't have anything set up in terms of where they want to be. Callis just hounded by everyone. Sirianni now is going to kick that in deep. That was almost a great shot on goal. Sirianni was looking to cross it, but honestly, if a little more curve on that was headed right back towards the goal to Polchak. So an excellent feed in there by Sirianni, but no one there for the Eagles to get it. Just a little too far and wide of the net. As we got a goal kick coming here for the Lions. That's Coulihan taking it. As they continue to fight for it on the offensive end for the Eagles. Sirianni, wow, she came flying. And now Jordan Callis has it. Callis gets it kicked away by Robbins, and now back out with it are the Lions. Ford now. Over to Kennelly. Kennelly now down the right side of the field. She's going to be challenged by Agostinelli. Can Agostinelli come up with something? Agostinelli trying to turn on the wheels, and it looks like that's going to be out of bounds. Agostinelli pushing Kennelly towards the sideline. Good work there. Now she'll throw it in up the field to Zoe Meyer. Meyer now with it, kicks it up to about midfield, and that looks like it's just going to roll out of bounds. De Silva will now throw it in at the 50, and now that one's in on the other side. Stiles just off of her, and now Asamoah. Look at her just kind of volley, and now Asamoah is going to try and get off the races just again. And a little bit too quick with it. Falls behind it, and it's back over to Georgian court. 23 minutes to go here in the first half. We're still scoreless, but both teams have had plenty of opportunities to score so far. Plenty of offensive rushes coming from both sides. That one's thrown in by Agostinelli over to Asamoah. Asamoah met there by Ford, and it's out of bounds off of Ford, so it'll remain Eagles ball at about midfield. Meyer was about to throw it in, and nope, now she's not going to. It's going to be Agostinelli around midfield. When you take a look at this Eagles team, 16 total points on the year. They've only scored 6 goals, had 4 assists. Sirianni with a nice break up there. The Eagles offense did struggle in their first 3 games of the year, then got a big game against Deauville with 3 goals. Had 2 against Wilmington, but just were not able to overcome a hat trick by the Wildcats that helped them get that win in that first conference matchup. Then on the road against Jefferson fell 5-0 and then fell 5-1 against Bridgeport. So Defense has been on and off in terms of it. In terms of conference play, they've struggled so far, giving up 14 goals so far in conference matchups. In non-conference, they've been a little bit better. As we see, Heb is going to go in there, and that was just kind of rolled on the ground. Polchak didn't have to do much. It was to the wide of the goal. Heb trying to hype the team up a little bit, get some energy into them. There's been plenty of energy from this Eagles team. It seems like they're just getting beat down the field a little bit here and there with the speed of the Lions. It looks like we're going to get a sub coming pretty soon here. It'll be Sofia Rodolfo. She looks like she's warming up to our right with 22 minutes to go. Nobody getting loose on the Eagles side as Jordan Callis now tries to get over to Haley McGee. Haley McGee, though, in like a triple team, essentially, of Lions defenders. They must have done the scouting report from last year. And heads up, just to the left of our camera, as you see the water probably fall down in front of your screen. We're underneath the awning, and it rained quite a bit before this game started, and it pooled all on top of the awning, and we weren't able to quite get all of it down. So if you see a waterfall or two during the game, don't worry. We're not broadcasting from a waterfall. We are safely on Lemoy Field. It's just it rained quite a bit these last 2 days. Stiles with it over to Sirianni. That one's going to be kicked and kept in as McGee now gets it. Amber McGee with it over. Back to Stiles. Stiles trying to kick it up the pitch. That was a nice feed in front. Oh, man, she almost had Haley McGee. Jordan Callis breaks it up. Callis, though, unable to keep it. Nice save there by Callis. A good block against Clayton helps keep it alive. But it goes off of Callis, and Clayton now will throw in for the Lions. Sirianni with it. Trying to box out Ratino. And now they're up the pitch with it. Marizaldi now to throw in. Marizaldi. Heb able to break that one up, and it'll be another throw in. And now here will come that sub in Rodolfo. Back in with it now are the Eagles. Bluntshili now over to Asamoah. Asamoah kicks it across the field. And that's Carissa Robbins. It's been the same starting 11 so far. This is going to be the first sub that comes in Rodolfo.
Yeah, but wait for the ref to blow the whistle when you do it.
Heb trying to get it. She does. Back over to Meyer. And that's just going to go out of bounds. Throw in coming up, but not before we get the sub in Rodolfo. So Rodolfo checks in. Marizaldi checks out. 19 minutes to go here for both teams. We remain scoreless. We thank you for joining us today for this women's soccer matchup. Mike Vesci on the call with you for both games. Here from Lemoy Field. Sirianni with it at the 50. Gets it into the backfield to Stiles.
Save it.
And Sirianni, wow. I mean, she went all out for that. And she's right back up on her feet. Send that one to ESPN. It's going to be a throw-in now for the Eagles down the field, and Sirianni's going to be the one to do it. I mean, she took a hard spill. No, it's actually going to be Haley McGee. She took a hard spill going out of bounds for that one, and right there to try and stop her progress was James Moore to protect her from sliding into the bench. With the field being so wet and it being turf, players could easily probably slide about 10, 15 yards. As that one's headed in, and that's going to be a goal. Amber McGee from Kaylee Sirianni on the throw-in. Her third goal of the season, and now she leads the sisters matchup that I was talking about, 3-0 on the season. Nice. I mean, Amber McGee was just able to get a head on that when it was thrown in. And the Eagles, with 18:42 remaining here in the first half, take a 1-0 lead. Looks like it was actually Lydia Asamoah who was the one who was able to get it off her foot. It looked like it was headed by McGee. It was hard to tell. So Sirianni on the throw-in. Asamoah was able to tip it over the head of Polchak for the first goal of the afternoon. So officially, the goal goes to Asamoah. McGee did actually get a bit of a tip on it. Sirianni on the throw and gets the second assist. McGee with the first assist. Asamoah with the goal. A little bit of a wonky one there as Callis now is going to try and get it over to Haley McGee. That's going to be just picked up by Polchak. Momentum now on the Eagles side after that first goal. That's a big first goal if you're the Eagles, especially on your home field. Eagles are winless so far this year at home. Excuse me, they've won one game at home. They're winless at home in conference play so far. They got that win against Dieuville earlier this year. The turnover there is going to go to Ford, then over to Rodolfo, who just entered the game, but it's going to be Campbell picking it up. And what? Oh, man. Campbell nearly turned it over, playing with it on her feet. In the box, she could have picked it up. Parkinson now trying to get it in deep, and now Rotino with it, and it's broken up by the Eagles. Parkinson now keeping it in deep. Eagles have escaped trouble a few times here now. And that was another one in which they barely escaped trouble from being a turnover and a wide open net, as Campbell was to the left of the goal mouth, not in net. That's Stiles. Over to Asamoah. Asamoah over to Sirianni. Oh, man. I mean, nope, she didn't keep it in, says the ref. And that's what I thought at first, too. But initially, the flag came up a little bit late, and Sirianni thought they were playing on. But, yeah, no, it just got off. Rotino now in. Agostinelli anchoring that middle is able to get it out. And we're back to midfield with it. McGee. Haley McGee over to Asamoah. Asamoah now with it. Now Asamoah down the right side. Asamoah looks to cross it. Can't get it there as Coulihan breaks it up. And now the other way with it comes Ford. Ford over to Canfield. Canfield around the 40 is going to kick that one in deep. Trying to hit Rodolfo. Can't do so as Stiles is right in front of her. Guarding her heavily. Not much doing there as, oh, what a nice push by Stiles. It does stay with the Lions, but it allows the Eagles to reset a little bit and get in control of what they want on defense. Heading it around over there is Ford. Sirianni right there is going to try and get it out. Nope, not going to be able to as Rotino is going to beat her to it, but Rotino is going to kick it out. Sirianni to throw in. Eagles ball. That one's kicked in deep. Callis has it. Over here on the right side. Sirianni now. And now the other way with it comes Canfield. Canfield kicks it down the field. And that one's over to Stiles. Stiles has it. Now Campbell. Seems like a little bit of a miscommunication in that. I can't really tell what's going on there as the Lions now are going to just wail it in on Canfield. Two subs coming in now. It's going to be Chiamaka Wakacha and Izzy Hernandez in for Georgian Court. Brianna Parkinson and Juliana Rotino coming out. Campbell with a nice save right there. Keep this game scoreless. Alexis Campbell has done a really good job in goals so far for the Eagles, making all the stops she needs to. A few it looked like miscues in the last couple of minutes with Lions right in front of her. She's kind of held onto that ball in the goal mouth and tried to dance with it a little bit instead of picking it up. It's now Canfield with it the other way. It's blocked in front. Ford has it, and now it's over to Hernandez. Hernandez on the right side to Kennelly. Kennelly now in the far corner. Agostinelli right in front of her, and now that's going to be Wakacha. Kind of loses it. Out to midfield. We got another sub coming in a minute here. It'll be Gabriella Paccioni. Paccioni now going to enter the pitch. We'll see who she comes in for. Looks like that's going to be number 15, Jessica Ford, getting a break. Pacione on. 12:41 remaining here in the first half. Lions still controlling the ball on their end of the field. Heb now with it, and there's a nice feed from Heb trying to get it up to McGee. Haley McGee down there can't quite beat out Robbins. Robbins now control as McGee almost knocked it away. Heb now back at the 40. This is what I was talking about. If she gets some space, Blunt-Sheely now kicks it in, and she finds McGee. McGee able to get around a defender. McGee, shot, save, Polchak. Haley McGee twice now has almost had her first goal of the season. Right there, nearly had it. Much better shot than the first one she got, too. She had a lot more space and was able to put some more power underneath it. As Amber McGee in the backfield with it. Over to Bianca Stiles. Stiles up the pitch to Sirianni. Sirianni now dances with it. Gets bumped around by Rodolfo, and now he's going to kick it back to Stiles. Stiles up the field. And that's what I was talking about with those high feeds in. Agostinelli's balls seem to be coming in a little bit lower, and that's a good pickup there by Polchak. That was what I was talking about on the defensive end for the Eagles with Campbell in that. Polchak does a good job of coming out and grabbing that off the ground to stop Jordan Callis from being able to pick it up. That's where I think we need to see if Alexa Campbell can adjust in net and maybe pick up those balls with the Lions coming in on her. But you see on that last ball that was brought in there by Stiles, she was able to get that one a little bit higher than Agostinelli, get it around those Georgian court defenders, and feed it up to Callis for a potential shot opportunity and an offensive rush. Rodolfo kicks that one in, and Campbell with a nice save there, and now we'll go the other way with it for the Eagles. So a lot of little things you can see be like on-the-fly adjustments for this Eagles team in terms of they switched around the defenders because a lot of the balls were coming up of this left side of the our left side of the pitch. For the players, it's the right side. But on the left side of your screen where Agostinelli previously was, that's where we were kind of noticing that it was a little bit of a difference in terms of how those balls were getting down the field. We're seeing a lot more height on those balls from Stiles. It's going to be 3 people coming in for Georgian court. That's going to be Bridget King, Lillian Piper, and Grace Confederac. And then it was Sierra Tarantino checking in for the Eagles. Tarantino seeing her first action of the day. Lions throwing now, and wow, Asamoah got pushed down, and yep, that's going to be whistled. Pacione just shoved Asamoah to the ground, and Asamoah kind of holding her back a little bit. I mean, she took a hard push to the ground. So foul there called on the Lions. Campbell going to come out to try and kick this one. Here you see Tarantino in about the middle of the field. Big credit so far to this defense for the Eagles as we're going to get another sub coming in. Tyler Keenan in for Georgian court. Keenan, the freshman, making her first appearance today. So we've seen a lot more subs from Georgian court here in the last few minutes, trying to get some fresh legs on and mount an offensive attack. They've had a few good offensive attacks, and they've had some open shots on Campbell, but Campbell's been up to the challenge so far, and then in the last few minutes, we've seen the Eagle defense come up pretty big. And now they got a fresh set of legs in Tarantino, and they're going to have a couple more coming on in Avia Burns and Tasia Ferreira. Tarantino tried to feed Callis into the puddles over here, and now that's going to be thrown in by the Lions. 2 subs ready to come in for the Eagles in these final 8 minutes. It's 1-0 right now. That one's in the backfield. Lions trying to get it out of trouble. Callis right there. Jordan Callis has a motor like no one else that I've seen on this team so far this year. Callis, the freshman from Farmingdale, New York, pretty much can do it all. And we've seen her running up the left side, the right side, the middle. Doesn't matter. She had 2 goals earlier this year against DeUville. Her first multi-score game. Those are the only 2 goals she's had so far this year. But nonetheless, she's impressed so far in her early career as an Eagle. As we're going to see Haley McGee and Lydia Asamoah come off now. 7.5 minutes to go here in the first half. Eagles still leading 1-0. Blunt-Sheely over to Heb. If the Eagles can hold this lead as well, I believe it'll be their first halftime lead since Dieuville, in which they led at the half 1-0. A wild game that was, with all the rain and the lightning delays. Took a little over 3 hours to get the full game in, but we were able to get it in on that crazy weather day. It's been a lot of crazy weather here in New England in general for all the fall sports teams, dealing with all the rain we've gotten over the last month and a half. We went from mid-80s and humid at the end of August for the opening post-university classic tournament here to 60s, cold and rainy like it was Seattle for the last week or two. So big change in weather, but that's what you get in New England. And hey, it could be snowing tomorrow for all we know. As see an Eagle go down, that was Callis there to the turf. Foul called there. It looks like it was against Paccioni. Tarantino, right side, trying to feed it into Ferreira. Can't do so. That's taken away by Coulihan. Now back up the other way is Georgian Court. Amber McGee out there gets it to Heb, and Heb sky high over to the opposing 15-yard line on the offensive end for the Eagles. Battling for it is Burns. We didn't see a lot of Burns early on in the year, but she started to play in the last couple of games. This is her third game played so far this year. Had a foul called there. Lillian Piper to kick. That one goes down the left side, and right there is Rodolfo. Tarantino, though, does a nice job of breaking it up. Blunt-Sheely now. We're going to get a foul called on, I think, couldn't quite see it. It looks like it might have been on Tarantino, but Rodolfo on the turf. So Rodolfo took the contact. That's Coulihan to kick. Coulihan in the air. Headed out of there by Stiles, and now it's still up in the air. Stiles once again tries to head it out. Flying in there was Paccioni, and now Tarantino with a fresh set of legs able to grab it. And it's going to go out of bounds. Good protection there by Tarantino to allow the Eagles to get a throw in and set it up. Burns the other way now with it. It's taken away there by Hernandez. Cross pass for the Lions. Again, the Eagle defense swarming Wokacha. And gets it back out to the 40. Giving you some updates, too, around post-athletics. Your women's volleyball team, I mean, it's been a close matchup for them so far. But they trail 2-0. It's tied at 24 in the third set. Final set if they were to lose. They lost the first set 27-25 and lost the second set 25-23. So a pair of close sets, and they're on the verge now of potentially getting back into it with a win in this final third set. That one sped ahead to Ferreira, but she's going to be offsides. 4 minutes to go here in the first half, 1-0. In a little while as well, it's about 12:40. At 1:15, women's ice hockey is going to get underway down at Shelton. Women's tennis is playing right now. We don't have live scoring for that, so we can't give you an update on how they're doing against Chestnut Hill. That one's going to be headed in our direction. Piper now to throw in. And then like we mentioned earlier, football at Fairmont State doesn't kick off until 2. So we'll wait on that. Going to be a throw in here for the Lions. Have had some opportunities here. That was a great cross there by Wokacha. She's able to get it over to Hernandez. Hernandez taken down. It's going to go off of an Eagle, though, and that's going to be a corner kick. Looks like it's going to be Hernandez taking it. This will be her first corner kick of the day. Hernandez going to try and whale it in deep. Watch for number 22, Piper, coming in. Right there to try and grab it was Canfield, and they just couldn't get anything going there. Looked like they left someone unmarked going into the box, and they almost had an opportunity to score. The Lions did. Campbell now, 2 minutes to go. Can the Eagles get out of this first half tied up at, leading 1-0 on that goal by Asamoah? Heb with it. Kicked around over there, and it's off the foot of Canfield. Canfield now pushing it around. That was going to be kicked in. Nice save by Campbell against Paccioni. Paccioni, with all the grass in front of her, kicks it through some defenders, but Campbell, once again, another nice save there, and the Eagles keep the lead 1-0 for the time being with 1:40 left here in the first half. And we just got confirmation as well. Post University women's volleyball won that third set 27-25, so they'll head to a fourth set shortly down there in Wilmington. Looking to break their losing streak and get a big conference win against the Wildcats. About 1 minute remaining here in the first half. We're going to get a sub here. Faith Roy coming on for the Eagles. One minute left. Eagles lead 1-0. Down the side with it is Tarantino. Tarantino hounded right there by Piper. Tries to cross it. Can't. Callis now shot wide. Nearly netted her third goal of the year into that top left corner. Wasn't quite able to get it there. As we approach the 10-second mark, we'll go quiet as we do the countdown. Just before we head to the half. That one goes to the middle of the field. So we head into the halftime break. Your Eagles lead 1-0 on a nice goal there by Lydia Asamoah on the throw-in from Kaylee Sirianni. We do have some stats for you. They are up and running today. So Georgian Court leads in shots on goal 5-3, in corners 3-1, 2 fouls apiece for each team. Alexis Campbell been up to the challenge so far, 4 saves. Carly Polchak, 2 saves on the other side going into this halftime break. And then, like we mentioned, Lydia Asamoah, the lone goal scorer so far for the Eagles. We'll take it to commercial for a little bit. We'll be back in about 10-15 minutes or so for the second half of action here on the Nest Network, brought to you by CACC Network and streaming live on YouTube.
champions know how to seize opportunities. When they see moments of greatness unfold right before their eyes, they push as hard as they possibly can, and then they push harder. Because the heart of a champion never settles, never quits, and never stops giving its all. We are champions. We are Division II. We go big, we give it everything we've got, and we win. On the field, on our campuses, in our communities, for our causes, in our careers. We rise to become champions in everything we do. We are Division II, and there are no limits here. We make our time count. We set our own path. We become champions on our terms. It's time to up your game, because we're here to play and learn. But most importantly, we're here to discover ourselves, our vision, our heart, our drive, to achieve every goal we aim for, because we want to be champions at the highest level, life. At Division II, the opportunities are here. Are you ready?
In NCAA Division II, student athletes leave a lasting impression on their communities. That's because Division II student athletes want to make a difference and truly be part of their surrounding communities. Through community engagement, thousands of student athletes from various backgrounds interact with community members who view them as role models. This interaction leaves a positive and perhaps even life-changing impression on all those involved. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
In a country where 1 in 5 people are affected by a mental health condition, it's time for all of us to step up and change the conversation.
We all have stress in our lives and manage it in different ways.
Grades,
finances,
practice,
family,
games,
finals,
homework,
playing time,
friends, midterms,
treatment, studying,
sleep, time for me.
We don't have to find the balance on our own.
It's okay not to be okay.
We're all in this together.
People can and do get better.
Caring about one another can be your competitive advantage.
Communicate.
Be aware.
Show compassion.
Be a champion for each other.
Hope starts with you.
Hope starts with me.
Hope starts with us. We are CACC student athletes, and we are breaking the stigma.
The NCAA has nearly 500,000 student-athletes from more than 1,200 member schools and conferences. There are more than 19,000 teams competing for 90 championships in 24 sports across 3 divisions. Division II has more than 124,000 student-athletes from over 302 colleges and universities. The division offers athletic scholarships while balancing a collegiate athletic environment that encourages student-athletes to discover and pursue what they love. The annual NCAA convention is where Division II members implement new rules. Delegates from every school and conference gather to discuss and vote on each proposal. Each eligible school, conference office, and the Student-Athlete Advisory Committee hold one vote. New rules in Division II can originate in one of 2 ways. A majority of proposals start in Division II committees. Those groups, comprised of representatives from member schools or conferences, debate concepts and forward recommendations to the Division's Management Council and President's Council. The Division II Management Council reviews each proposal from the committees, makes recommendations, and forwards them to the President's Council. The President's Council, composed of college presidents and chancellors, is the top leadership group in Division II. Its primary function is to establish and direct general policy and strategic direction for the division. It is the only group within the governance structure that can sponsor legislation for a vote at convention on its own. New rules can also be proposed directly from Division II members. If 15 active Division II schools or 2 conferences sign on as sponsors, the proposal will be voted on by the entire Division II membership, no matter what position the division's committees and councils take. Through the legislative process, the Division II membership and its representatives enact change across the division.
And welcome back to Lemoyne Field. Second half ready to kick off. We got a few changes for the Lions here coming into the second half. Won't be the original starters as we saw. It's going to be Chiamaka Wakacha on the pitch. And then we have a new goalkeeper as well. Emma Bennett is going to come in. The junior goalkeeper is in for the Lions. And then on the Eagles side, Sierra Tarantino and Tasia Ferreira get the start in the second half. So few changes for both sides coming into the second half. It's pretty much a similar lineup to what we saw at the end of the first half. Coming out of this 15-minute break, the clouds have also broken here, and we're starting to see this thing called sunlight, which we haven't seen in a few days here in Waterbury, Connecticut. Campbell does a good job there. So I talked about that at the end of the first half. where the ball was in the box and she was kind of dancing around with it on her foot. Right there, we saw her pick it up. So a little bit of a change as there was a Lion offensive player approaching the area. She picks it up that time. A little bit of a difference maker in terms of how you approach things defensively. Got to think goalkeeper Scott Vanderwall, goalkeeper coach Scott Vanderwall may have discussed that during the halftime break as that one's down the other side of the field. Going to be a throw-in for the Eagles. Looks like Alyssa Hebb's going to take the throw-in. Just over a minute and a half gone by here, folks, in our first game of 2. So right now we have the women's soccer team playing. Men's soccer will kick off. It's scheduled right now for 2:30. We are approaching 1:05. So, yeah, I mean, we're right on track to probably get this started at 2:30 with game number 2. But we'll give you a little bit of wiggle room on that one, potentially being a little bit later than 2:30 because, sometimes that happens. But we'll see how fast the teams decide to warm up and hit the pitch in the second game of the day. So we'll take a little bit of a look at what's going on in post-athletics. Again, women's ice hockey getting ready to kick off in about 10 minutes or so. And then as we look at the women's volleyball score, they currently trail 23-13 in set number 4. So they'll need a big comeback if they want to avoid dropping another conference matchup here. Need to at least score 10 straight at the minimum to try and get back into that match. As now it's 24-13 there, so now they'll need 11 straight to tie and then potentially get back into it. The Eagles on the verge of losing that one. Eagles here, though, women's soccer, trying to hold on and get their first conference win of the season. 42 minutes to go here in the second half. A very, very good first half for both sides. I mean, if you're both teams, you realize that you're going to have to fight hard to get a goal, and both teams have had the opportunities to do so. If I had to give the edge right now in terms of which team has had more opportunities, I'd say without a doubt the Lions have had more opportunities in terms of just open shot opportunities and open field rushes. Eagles have had a few more, less organized chances, but chances nonetheless. But Alexis Campbell, in her first career start as a goalie here at the collegiate level, has been up to the task so far. Like I said, Erin Nisbet's started a majority of the game, but majority of the games. But we've seen a little bit of a change here with Campbell getting the start. And she's faced some pretty straightforward shots, some opportunities that, on crosses that if the Lions had the numbers in the right position, they probably would have gone in, but she's held her own in net so far. Like I mentioned, the Lions, a big thing about soccer, too, is you see those shots on goal. And, sometimes you might see a game that only has 2, 3, 4 shots on net, but that doesn't take into account a lot of the opportunities on rushes down the pitch, as sometimes they just go down as shots. Offense always doesn't look as impressive in terms of the numbers from time to time, just with the way soccer is scored in general. And that's why I talked about it earlier this year in the Southern Connecticut game that I was calling for, that, you see a game and that game was 6-0. It's a loss, but it also doesn't reflect also in the box score sometimes, depending on how many saves the goalie made, because there's a lot of intangibles that go into soccer to make it a win or make it a loss. And it's not always just on the goalkeeper or the person who has the most shots on net or the person who has the most goals or the most assists or most overall points for a game. There's a lot of intangibles that don't show up in the box score for a soccer match, like the defense we've seen from the Eagles so far today. You're not going to see a thing for blocked shots mostly on that score column in the box score afterwards. You're not going to see pass breakups. You're not going to see those little other things that go into a game that have helped give the Eagles this 1-0 lead with a chance to win, because that back three of Kayla Agostinelli, Bianca Stiles, and Amber McGee have made a huge difference in terms of how they've played. Renato Tapali switched them around middle of the first half, and they seem to be more in sync with everything going on. And here's what I was talking about in the first half. Alyssa Hebb from the 35-yard line. Watch her whale this one into the box. And there it is. And see, that's the kind of, that was, as I've talked about before on the Southern Connecticut broadcast, Alyssa Hebb with that strong foot, and it seemed like she was putting so much more power into it from even out at the 45-yard line that it was sailing through the uprights or over the net. Hebb from the 35 right there laid it on net perfectly to challenge Emma Bennett and give herself a goal-scoring opportunity, but also on top of that, give the Eagles a chance at a second chance ball had that popped out of Bennett's hands. So it's those little things you can kind of pick up, and you may not notice on the broadcast with the wide angle that you kind of see on the pitch as well, being here, being around the team, and seeing multiple games throughout the year. Those little things that have changed throughout the year so far. Ferrer just bowls over Ratino with the Eagles on the offensive half of it. The Eagles have controlled the pace so far for the most part. A little bit of a rush early on by the Lions, but for the most part, it's been all Eagles to start the second half. A good break up there by De Silva. Eagles, though, maintaining control on this end of the pitch. Back out to Agostinelli, and this is what I was talking about. There's that back three. Again, not going to show up in the box score, but if this score holds at 1-0, not only do you give Alexis Campbell a lot of credit for her time in net, but you got to give that back three a lot of credit. And Kaylee Sirianni, who's been back on that defensive end, trying to help out when the Lions have had numbers. Agostinelli right there fighting for it, and now that's just going to go right past Blunt-Sheely. Georgian Court now back with it. Larissa Blunt-Sheely has also seen a lot more time as the games have gone on. And I believe she was coming off an early season injury, and then she was able to come back, and she's played multiple games since. Also got to give a shout-out to Anna Ica, who helped me correct my pronunciation of her last name as well as Blunt-Sheely's. So we are getting it wrong for the first few games, so we appreciate that. A lot of new faces for this Eagles team this year under first-year head coach Renato Tapali. And they're kind of trying to figure out what works best for them. And that's a big thing when you have a new coach coming in, when you have a lot of new players come in with all the new freshmen. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 new freshmen on this team. And you got to find a way to get them to be cohesive with one another and with their teammates who have been here for multiple years already. And it's a learning process, and we've seen that from this team. They've had their growing pains so far this year. You know, it's not ideal to start 1-6 on the year and 0-3 in conference play, but especially coming off of the year that they had last year. But these things take time sometimes to build, and there's some positives that we can take away from every game this year. And so far this game, there's been a lot of positives to take away in terms of the defensive side of things, really shoring things up after some miserable performances to start conference play. They've really started to find their groove, it looks like, today. Not allowing Georgian Court to get too deep into the box. And then the back end of that, preventing those crosses from getting to the recipient on the other side of the net. So Alexis Campbell standing strong in net, and got to pat those defenders on the back as well for their effort today, as we've had a lot of neutral zone play so far in this second half after those early rushes by the Eagles. About 10 minutes gone by. Mike Vesci joining you live here on the Nest Network, brought to you by the CACC Network. We thank you for joining us live on the CACC Network if you're watching there, and on YouTube as well today and for all the games so far this year. Appreciate the emails as well about our broadcast. Been all super positive in terms of what we've been able to put together so far this year. Be a throw in here for the Lions. See if they can get a push up the field. They haven't had any big pushes so far here to start the second half. Those few lineup changes as well to start play. That one's headed out by the Lions, and it's just going to go right back to the Eagles as Tarantino right in front of it. No, it's actually going to be Agostinelli who throws it in for about the 45. Thrown in, Asamoah, the goal scorer for today. If you missed the first half, Lydia Asamoah on the pass in from Kaylee Sirianni. It looked like it was a goal for Amber McGee, her third of the season. But upon further finding out, it tipped off of McGee, and then it went off of Asamoah's foot and redirected into the goal. So as Asamoah from Sirianni and Amber McGee The lone goal so far of the day for the Eagles. Looking to add some insurance here in the second half. The Lions looking to pull even. And up the field with it comes Ratino. Ratino now all over her is Heb. And now Agostinelli, it's off of her. Heb gets it back over to Agostinelli. Right there in the middle of it, that looks like Mirazaldi. It is. She'll pass it over to Parkinson. Parkinson runs into Sirianni. Now Mirazaldi with it, dancing into the box. Mirazaldi shot, goal! Parkinson finds Mirazaldi with 33-36 remaining in the second half, and this game is tied up at 1. Not much you could do about that one if you're Alexis Campbell in net. It was a really high rising shot. A beautiful goal there from Mirazaldi from Parkinson. And we're tied up at 1. So Mirazaldi knots this game up at 1. This is her second goal of the season. Parkinson's first assist. So the Lions finally get a rush up the field, and it ends up proving to be worthwhile for them. As they got some open space, the Eagles defense kind of collapsed back, and it left enough space for Mirazaldi to lift that one into the far right corner of the net. As we continue on here, Amber McGee in the backfield with Agostinelli. Agostinelli now with it. Now, if you're the Eagles, you want to try and get the equalizer. Excuse me, not the equalizer. You want to try and get the go-ahead goal now here in the final 32 minutes or so. And at the very least, hold this at a tie score and get a point and finally get something on the overall record. If not going to be a win, hopefully a tie. Georgian court here after the foul. We haven't seen a lot of fouls. It hasn't been a super physical matchup today. This has been a pretty timid matchup in terms of both teams kind of playing their own style, but not getting too physical, not a lot of running into each other. Just kind of, old-fashioned soccer where you're kind of just going back and forth with the other team and giving them space. And physicality hasn't really been the MO for the Eagles so far this year. That one's kicked deep into the goal. Goes off the crossbar. Emily Clayton fired that right on Campbell, dead center. Didn't go in. We got a couple of subs. It's going to be Burns coming back out for the Eagles and Piper back out for Georgian Court. With 31 and a half minutes remaining here in the second half. Campbell going to kick this one. She boots that one in there. Blunt-Sheely tried to get to it. Callis is going to get it, and it's going to be over to Sirianni. And let's see if the Eagles can mount something here. Sirianni ahead to Haley McGee. It goes over to Burns, who just entered the game. Callis now with it. Callis gets a little tripped up right there, and now it's taken away by the Lions. And back the other way with it is Parkinson. Parkinson pushes ahead to Kennelly. Agostinelli. This goes out of bounds, and that'll be a throw-in for the Lions. So it gives some time for the Eagles to get back on defense, get set up. When they've been able to set up something on those throw-ins, the Eagles' defense has been very strong. But you saw when the Lions were able to push it down the field earlier without, really any set piece for the Eagles, that one just landed right in the puddle. It'll be another throw-in. You saw that when they don't have a set piece set up, that it allows for space for the Lions. So if you're the Lions, if you keep that ball towards the middle of the field and keep it away from the sidelines, which seems to be the Eagles' game so far, as that one's going to be wailed in there. Burns now has it. If you're able to keep it towards the middle of the field, it seems like the Eagles aren't able to set up as well in terms of their defensive set pieces. Whereas if it goes to the sideline and the Eagles are able to just kick it out of bounds, which they've done many of times today, they've been able to kind of set their defense how they want it exactly. And that's where the Lions have run into trouble with getting into open space and figuring out how they can get to the goal mouth as easily to challenge Campbell with a higher shot percentage than something that's a little more timid on the ground and in front of defenders. They've been able to get a lot more open space when they use that middle of the field, just based on what the Eagles defense has given them so far today. As the Lions now seem to have carried that momentum from that goal to tie it up, to get it on this side of the pitch. That's De Silva. De Silva kicks it ahead to Rotino. Rotino dancing around McGee. That one's going to be kicked across by Kennelly. Kennelly, the nice header out there by, looks like that was Stiles. Here we go now. So this is what I'm talking about. They're going to have to throw it in. And now the Eagles trying to fall back into whatever set they want for this. Plenty of time, too, as looks like that's Piper taking her time to get over there. And you see the Eagles able to just get it out right away. They have the defenders right where they want them. Canfield, though, has got it. Canfield kicks that one high. Campbell, save. Forced the ball towards the center off the throw-in. Campbell's able to make the easy save. It goes right into her hands. 28 minutes to go here in the second half. Reminder, too, since it is not the postseason, there is no overtime. There's no penalty kicks. So this game just goes down as a tie in the standings. But it would be a big tie nonetheless for the Eagles. It would be a big win if they can get the win. Got a foul called up at the middle of the field. It looks like that was on Heb. You want to try and get that first conference win if you're the Eagles today. Georgian Court just got their first against Holy Family 3-2 the other day. But if you don't get that win today, a tie is the next best thing, honestly, compared to getting a loss here and taking a loss in a game that you really need to have, essentially, after starting conference play 0-3. Every game matters so much, especially in a quick soccer season. You only see these teams once in the regular season, all of them. And so having that tiebreaker is huge, as we're going to see a collision right there. No call. With the way the whistles have been blown so far this game, I will say I'm not surprised that wasn't called, because it hasn't been too much of a physical game, and they were both playing that ball, which was basically in the middle of the field. Contact was simultaneous. The ball was nowhere really near the play. It's kind of, I would say, inadvertent contact there, but it was a hard hit from what it looked like. Again, this game hasn't been super physical. That's the first real big hit we've seen from either side, but it was a little bit away from the ball, so I can kind of see what the refs were seeing on that one in terms of not making a call on it. Again, every game matters here because you get that 1-0 tiebreaker as well in the head-to-head. The head-to-head is huge because if they get tied at a certain point margin, then it comes down to the tiebreaker. How did you do against that individual team? Did you time? Did you beat them? Did you lose? Sirianni firing this one into the heart of the defense. Headed by McGee. Saved by Bennett. It's still in front. Heb, save. Wow. McGee with the header. That was Amber McGee with the header. Bennett pushed it away. Alyssa Heb shot it. And then Bennett made another save. And now we have a corner kick. Haley McGee to take it. McGee. Eagles with a big offensive chance here. Into the air. They're going to call something in the box. So, the ball went way over everything anyways in terms of no one was able to get a head on it. But a good effort there from the Eagles. They looked like they had that go-ahead goal right there. McGee on the doorstep. Bennett just was able to get a hand on it on the header. And then it was redirected to Heb in front, who Bennett managed to get over there, it looked like, and block the shot. So we're seeing a little more of an intensity from both teams. Georgian court looking to get that second win in conference play. The Eagles really need that first one now, and they need it badly. And here we go with another corner kick. It's going to be Haley McGee again now from the left side. The Eagles making a push here in the last few minutes. 25 minutes to go here in the second half. I mentioned we had seen Tarantino and Heb taking a lot of the corners. It looks like Coach DePauli's team has elected to now use Haley McGee, their leading goal scorer from last year, for them now. McGee into the box, headed by McGee. And then it's shot by Heb. Heb not able to get it by Bennett. Bennett makes a good save there. So the McGee to McGee connection almost hooks up for one there. But then Heb just couldn't get it by Bennett. We remain tied at 1 here with 24 and change to go, 1-1. A goal in the first half from Lydia Asamoah. A goal in the second half from Ashley Marizaldi. Just about 12 minutes ago is what knotted this game up at 1-1. Eagles, though, now have flipped the switch again. Have been able to maintain possession for a good majority of this half on their half. Lions just threatening there. And now they'll get a corner kick here from Parkinson. Seen a lot more corners in the second half already. Eagles with some opportunities, and now Parkinson fires that one in deep. Campbell's able to get a hand on it, and now it goes over to Agostinelli. Agostinelli gets it out of there. Haley McGee not able to get there in time. Amber McGee able to head it. Canfield heads it back in. We're just playing volleyball here now at Lemoy Field. The ball hasn't touched the ground in a few seconds. Now it finally does as Canfield controls it with her feet. Canfield, the captain, kicking it back to the 50-yard line over to Robbins. Robbins over to the other side. That looks like it's Piper. Piper down the pitch. Down on the left side. Broken up by Sirianni. Sirianni's been in the splits, sliding everywhere all afternoon. Heck of an effort. And there's Anna Ika. Ika making her first appearance of the day. Like I mentioned, we went to one of her classes to talk about what we're doing here at the Nest Network and in sports information. And she said, you know, all my teammates and family were laughing. You're pronouncing my name Eka, and it's Ika. And it's different because of, you know, she's from Germany, so it's pronounced a little bit differently. So now we got that squared away. Anna Ika on the pitch for the Eagles. 21 minutes to go. That was a hard push down over there by Tarantino. You can't see it from your angle that we have today, but that was Kennelly that went down hard. It's actually going to be a throw-in, though, for the Eagles, and Agostinelli will take it with 21.5 to go. Agostinelli tries to throw it up to Ika. Canfield takes it away. Canfield gets it in the box. That was King who started the second half. That shot wide by Parkinson. And this is what I was talking about. When you get that space in the middle, and that's where the Lions have seemed to be attacking more in the second half, that's where you run into some problems with the Eagles' defense. The Eagles' defense has no problem with guarding the wings. They have some issues, though, it seems like, in the middle when there's space given, and they need to try and take that space away. Agostinelli kicks that one up to Haley McGee. Anna Ika now with it, taken away by King. King now the other way with it. Met by Parkinson, and that one for the Eagles defense comes up big, and now it's on those sides again that I was talking about. Marizaldi now down the left side, A nice break up there by Stiles, is able to get a foot on it, redirect it. Campbell picks it up, and now we're going the other way with it. Post University, 20 minutes to go. Kick to midfield, Haley McGee off her head, and now it's back over to Parkinson. Parkinson on the offensive side for The Lions kicking it around to Canfield. Canfield now down the right side of your screen. Canfield across in. Blunt-Sheely not able to quite get to it. Retino, excuse me. Met by Heb, and they're going to call a foul on Heb. Now, this is what I was talking about. It hasn't been a super physical game. At the times where it's been super physical, there hasn't been a whistle called. And then right there, you just saw a whistle on something that didn't seem like there was too much contact. However, this is big now because they're right inside the 20-yard line at about the 19, 18-yard line marker. And this is honestly probably Alexis Campbell's ball right now. Parkinson, if I had to guess, is going to whale this one in on her. And here we go. Alexis Campbell's better be ready because this one's probably coming right for the right side. There it goes, high and wide. Through the uprights. But there's no field goals in soccer. As coming out is Confederac. Grace Confederac coming back in for the Lions. And two more Lions, it looks like, going to come in later. It's going to be Izzy Hernandez and Sofia Rodolfo coming back into the game for Georgian Court on the next out of bounds, in which the Lions get possession for. Again, if it goes out of bounds like it's going to right here, you will not see those substitutes come in because it's still Eagles ball. They have to wait for those throw-ins if it's for Georgian Court. Or obviously if there was a goal scored or something along those lines. There you go. Right there you're going to see the flag come up. For those of you watching at home, and now Hernandez and Rodolfo enter the field of play, taking off Parkinson and Marizaldi. Marizaldi and Parkinson, who teamed up for that Georgian Court goal. Now about 18 minutes ago at around the 36.5-minute mark. Throw in here for Georgian Court. Yeah, we're looking for a handball call. They don't get it. Agostinelli with a nice steal. Oh, wow. And now they call the foul a little bit later after the whistle. It looked like the head ref had his head turned there and then saw Agostinelli on the ground and whistled it. It was a hit without the ball, but that was more. So unlike the play you saw earlier where the two players from both teams collided at the middle of the field, they collided simultaneously. That was one where Agostinelli was kind of in no man's land, and the defender came in and kind of just knocked her over. That was the difference between the two. As you see Heb there from about the 50-yard line. Oh, man, we had a clash of the heads there, it looks like, as Amber McGee took a shot to the back of the head. And we're going to have a stoppage of play here. So it looks like they're okay. Looks like that was Leticia Da Silva who knocked heads with Amber McGee. And it looks like Da Silva's going to come off to be checked on because she did land hard and come down on it. It looked like, so Amber McGee did take a shot to the back of the head. Not nearly as severe as Da Silva, who fell to the ground. So that's why they're going to get a look. The trainers are going to take a look at her just to make sure that's obviously a head injury potentially. You don't want to risk anything with a head-related injury. Coming into the game for her is Ava Reardon for the time being. Now we're going to get a corner kick. Haley McGee into the box. No one there. Looks like it was headed out by a Lions defender. And they get it out to midfield. Stiles right there is able to kick it back over past Kennelly, who Kennelly was looking for an open run on it, and then she had some choice words to say out loud that we cannot repeat on air here. Eagles ball now as that one goes out of bounds. 16 minutes to go, 16 and a half minutes to go. Heb laces that one in deep. Piper with it now. Kicks it up to midfield to Rodolfo. Ava Reardon now. Pushes it over to Hernandez. Piper now with it again as Da Silva just jogged right by us. Seems to be okay. Again, like I mentioned, you want to be more safe than sorry, especially when it comes to contact sports. When anything happens with a head injury or head-to-head contact, you want to get that checked on and make sure everything's okay, because you never want to play around with those. Those can be super dangerous, both not just in the short term, but in the long term as well. Piper trying to kick it in deep, as that one's going to go probably to the end line. It's off the Eagles, so they want to make sure they get that one back into play. Blunt Shealy now. Over to Haley McGee. Ika. No foul there, as Haley McGee kind of pushed over Leah Canfield. That was kind of similar to what we saw with Agostinelli a few moments ago. But also the way McGee looked like she played it was that she was trying to run up the middle to get a pass from somebody on her team, and ultimately the defender was just kind of there. I think that's why, I try to look at it from the mind of the refs as well when I'm calling this. And that's where, as a fan, you might say, why wasn't that called against them, or why wasn't it called against this person? Because you're looking at it from the angle of a fan for your team. Try and look at it from both the angles of the fans and what the refs see on the field as well. So try and give both perspectives on it in terms of how those calls or no calls look from the vantage point of up here, and from what probably the refs are seeing as well down on the pitch. As we got about just under 15 minutes to go. Got a steal there as Heb's going to boot that one in deep. Haley McGee's got wheels. McGee's going to try and run with this one. Can she get to it? McGee, shot. Bennett pushes it out of the box and out of harm's way. Corner kick coming for the Eagles. Eight shots on goal for Georgian Court today. Hit enter. Sorry about that. We're live right now. We also have some issues with the game clock. There's about 13:58 remaining. So we got a few subs coming on. De Silva in and Jessica Ford in. Had a little bit of a clock issue, and it reset and added a few minutes up. We're at about 13 minutes remaining here in the first half, in the second half. Our score bug is correct. That's why you heard me say press enter. Our clock on the field went out completely, and so we're adjusting it right now. And so I was letting our scoreboard person know that we didn't lose the entire clock. We're all good. We're back and running. 13:20 remaining. Fator with the save there on the scoreboard. Like I mentioned, 12 shots on the day for Georgian Court, 8 of which have been on goal. 8 shots for Post University, 5 of which have been on goal. 4 corners apiece, 5 fouls apiece, 1 goal each, 2 offsides for Post. Alexis Campbell, you got to say, other than that one that she let in, I mean, she didn't even let it in, if I'm being perfectly honest. That was just a perfectly placed ball by Mirazaldi that went in. So 12 and a half minutes remaining in this game. Eagles trying to get a win here, but they're going to need to score, which is obviously what the goal of is soccer, but this game is tied up at 1 after them leading earlier. Piper down the left side with it. That one's crossed in by Piper. That was Confederac trying to get ahead on it. Not able to. Now that one's kicked in deep. And then it was headed right there by Rodolfo out of bounds. So we'll get a goal kick here with just under 12 minutes remaining here in the second half. Tarantino now with it. Callis over to Blunt-Shealy. Blunt-Shealy over to Sirianni. 40-yard line and counting. Sirianni wails it in deep. So what I'm noticing from the Eagles in these last few rushes here, as we're going to see Mirazaldi, the goal scorer from earlier, try to get back on in a few moments, and Ratino also come back on. The big thing I've noticed from the Eagles in these last few minutes, whereas earlier in the game they were getting a lot of set pieces down the field with Jordan Callis, Lydia Asamoah. You haven't heard me call their names much in the second half. Asamoah hasn't gotten the ball a ton, as that one's going to be fired on net by Rodolfo. Campbell with the save. We'll have a corner kick coming here. But in the second half so far, I've noticed a lot of just long kicks coming by the Eagles near midfield. And they haven't really tried to work it to Asamoah and the other forwards for the Eagles. They've been trying to get Haley McGee on a running gun down the field, it seems like, and get past those defenders. But we haven't seen it work so far. The bread and butter in the first half seemed to be a lot of that stuff towards the middle where Asamoah was running down, McGee was running down, Sirianni was running down. But we've seen Sirianni start to just, or one of the other midfielders try and kick it towards the middle. That one's going to be headed just wide. It looks like that was Canfield with the header wide. So when you watch this rush down the field right now, what are we going to see here? Will it be different? We'll see if it's what I was talking about just a moment ago. So you see McGee pushed up. You see Asamoah pushed up towards midfield. In the backfield, you have your three defenders that you've had for the most part. That's where the ball is right now as Campbell kicks it away to midfield. Jordan Callis, though, has not been as much of a factor on the offensive end here in the second half. Amber McGee with a nice stop out there. The defense has been making some very good stops so far today. But that offense seems to be just a little bit out of sync compared to the first half. They've had their moments, but it seems like when they're trying to get to the offensive half, their struggle has been they're just trying to do what they did earlier this year against like Southern Connecticut, where they were just trying to bump it ahead. Just get it to midfield and have somebody running gun up the field. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of with Haley McGee, which is why you haven't heard me call out Lydia Asamoah's name a lot or Jordan Callis. It's been a lot of Sirianni to McGee in terms of those long kicks, or Heb to McGee down the field. So we'll see in this last 9 minutes and change, are the Eagles going to be able to get something working on offense? Again, Georgian Court has controlled a lot of this game since they scored that goal. And here we go. Just as I mentioned, Asamoah, and you see that's what I was talking about just a moment ago. They're trying to get Haley McGee on that free run up the pitch to try and get her some space because she has a powerful leg to make a kick from 30, 40 yards out. Not 40, 20, 30 yards out. Had my numbers wrong there. But they got to be able to feed her the ball, and it's hard to do that when she's triple teamed by the three defenders with no other offensive players for the Eagles to help her out. So there's got to be a little bit of an adjustment here in the final 8 minutes. As you can see, McGee is gassed. She's been out there for almost the entire second half working to try and get in open space, and she can't because she's hounded by three defenders. Now you see Jordan Callis. Well, I see it. You're watching the play live. I see Jordan Callis back there at midfield as McGee is now pushed up. So we'll see if there's a little bit of a difference on this rush this time. Maybe it's McGee's a little bit tired. Now we're going to try and push the ball to Callis because Callis has wheels too and can really work it down the pitch as fast as she possibly can through those defenders. Don't give her open space either. She already had a shot in this second half that nearly went in earlier. We've had a few close calls here as Bennett made a couple of big saves earlier against Heb and McGee, Amber McGee, I should say, on a header inside the box on a set piece. Campbell now is going to kick this one away, and we'll watch what they do at midfield now. This is what I was talking about. You see, Haley McGee is now pushed more towards the 40-yard line, and that went off the back of Alyssa Hebb's head. Canfield now, Asamoah in there. Tarantino's got it around her. Kennelly's now got it, and it's back up to Canfield on the right side. Canfield's got it. She's going to dance around Tarantino, or try to. Pushes it up the field. Nice play right there by Heb to get down there and get on Kennelly. Kennelly's now is going to push it in. That's going to be number 13, Izzy Hernandez, who checked in earlier, but Stiles gets it out. Canfield now, don't give him space. You can't do that here in these final moments. Ratino now has it. Good job by the Eagles defense to collapse in the middle. Blunt Shealy was there to break that one up. Mirazaldi now on the far side looking to cross it in. She's going to be able to do so. The header, by Kennelly. That was the cross I was talking about, folks, in the first half. Kennelly had a few cross opportunities and was just not able to get there in time to get it. And she nearly had it right there. Shot went wide. 6:50 remaining in the second half. They're going to call a stoppage right here with 6:45. That looked like another head collision right there. I don't think it was a head-to-head, but it looks like we've got a player down for Georgian Court. Obviously, we're not going to show it on the stream, but we are looking right now at a player down on the field for Georgian court. It looks like looks like she's holding her foot or shin area just below the knee. As our athletic trainer Donovan out there working on, I think it's Ashley Mirazaldi.
What number? 19. Okay, was she the injured one? Okay.
Yeah, so Mirazaldi is the one down right now, the goal scorer from earlier, and we just got confirmation from Chiamaka Wakacha that she's going to be checking in. We also have Tasia Ferreira waiting on the sideline for the Eagles for this last 6:45. Ferreira is another one who I talked about in a game earlier this year who has wheels to get up the field, and that's probably what Coach Topali's putting you in for in these final 6 minutes and change, to try and get some speed on the offensive half of the pitch and give the Eagles an opportunity to get that goal to go ahead and get that big first conference win. We're still waiting as Mirazaldi is still down, now being helped to her feet. And now she's going to be helped off by Donovan and her teammate Izzy Hernandez. And now the Georgian court assistant coach coming out to help out. As Mirazaldi comes off the field right now with 6:45 remaining. In case you are just joining us here in the final minutes, a goal for each team. Lydia Asamoah on a beautiful feed in from Amber McGee, and Kaylee Sirianni on the throw-in. Put the Eagles up 1-0 in the first half. Coming out of the second half, Georgian court put a lot of pressure on the Eagles and got the equalizer from Mirazaldi, who just exited the field with that lower leg injury. That's going to be Jessica Ford. Ford into the box. Campbell. Great takeaway. No second chance opportunity there. It was a great cross, and Campbell, again, I talked about it at the end of the first half. She had her little bit of miscues at times in terms of how she played the ball. She's been playing it fantastic in the second half here so far in terms of being in the right spot, picking it up where necessary, and just really overall manning the goal mouth really, really well, and has been very good at anticipating where the ball is going to go. Even on that goal scored by Mirazaldi, she knew right where it was headed. It was just way too far over her head because it was a perfectly placed ball into the goal. As Lydia Asamoah just checked out, Tasia Ferreira. Asamoah has played pretty much every single minute of the game, but they're trying to get a fresh set of legs on offense, and this is what I talked about. Tasia Ferreira is out there. Ferreira right there trying to steal it away, I believe, from Ford. Yep, that was Ford. And now Sirianni over there on the right side. Ball still being played towards the middle by Ratino. Izzy Hernandez now down the left side. Wakacha, who just checked in, now playing with it. Working on Stiles. Stiles still in front of her, and now that one's going to be cross Campbell. I mean, she's in a beautiful spot for that because if you look, Abby Kennelly, who's had a ton of opportunities in this game to score, was right behind Campbell. If Campbell's not there, Kennelly's got an easy goal. Campbell's been very aggressive in net to get to the spot she needs to. Another awkward bounce off heads. And here's Ferreira's speed. Ferreira and Callis, watch this over the final 5 minutes, especially now that the Eagles have a throw-in. You're seeing a fresh pair of legs in Ferreira out there. Callis, who hasn't had to run a whole lot because they were doing the sprints with McGee. You've got a few Eagles out there right now who have a chance to make something happen down the stretch here. And we're going to get a foul called here on Heb, it looks like. Her and Kennelly collided. 4.5 minutes to go. Tie ball game here. 1-1. It's actually on Haley McGee, the foul. Tisha De Silva, who checked out earlier with a head injury after she collided with Amber McGee. Got checked on, and she's good. Another nice save there by Campbell. She didn't quite get her hands on it, though. and it rolls out of bounds. That was against Ratina. We got a corner kick coming here from the right side. That's going to be Izzy Hernandez taking it. We're kind of looking around the tents that are up because it was raining earlier. So Izzy Hernandez to take this kick from the corner. They have a free runner coming in there, and Jessica Ford, who just ran to the near side of the net. Hernandez kicks it in. Haley McGee does a good job of getting it back out there, and now they're going to have to reset. De Silva back out at the 30-yard line. Ferreira is all over her. If Ferreira could get that ball and go, she would have all sorts of open space in front. Here we go now on the throw-in for Hernandez. Down the pitch. Over there is Kennelly. Kennelly can't get it. Oh, Heb. That's coming towards me, and it stops just shy of me. I'm going to credit Molly and Morgan with the save on that one. In front of us here from the women's lacrosse team. Eagles, can they get something going here in the final 3 minutes? Kaylee Sirianni now with it. Unable to get there as Wakacha has it now. Back into the backfield. Piper. Piper up to the middle. Back to Wakacha. Going to be a throw-in for the Eagles. 2 minutes and 50 seconds remaining here in the game. Trying to see, can the Eagles take the lead and get a big first conference win, or can they get out of here with a tie? A loss would be devastating for them in terms of starting 0-4 in conference play, so they're trying to avoid that mark. A tie, though, would be a big confidence booster going to your next few games. That one's wailed in there by De Silva, broken up by Amber McGee. Back out to De Silva. De Silva trying to find some space, kicks it into Wakacha. Blunt-Sheely now with it. Wakacha back with it. Surrounded by McGee. Amber McGee can't quite get it out, but then she does. Alyssa Heb now forward, and here's what I was talking about. Tasia Ferreira, fresh legs, trying to get after it. She's hustling hard, but hustling just a little bit harder to get there for her is Carissa Robbins. Ferreira battling with her, and that's going to stay with the Eagles. Really good play there by Tasia Ferrara, who has made her impact felt in these last 5 minutes that she's been in. Haley McGee has a strong throwing arm, so watch this one. I told you, she threw it about 20 yards earlier. So from where she's standing right now, get that one towards the box. Kind of like Kaylee Sirianni did on the goal that was scored by the Eagles in the first half. Here she goes. McGee throwing it in towards the box. Kit's booted back out. McGee's not going to be able to get to that one, and up the pitch with it comes Kennelly. Kennelly with it up to the 50, to the 45, 40, trying to challenge Agostinelli. Can get around her? Yes, she will. Kennelly down the right side. Going to cross it in, and that's going to be wide and out of bounds. 1:25 remaining in the second half. We're approaching the 1 minute warning. It'll be a goal kick for Alexis Campbell. Zoe Meyer going to check in when given the opportunity. As Campbell comes to kick it. "55 seconds left. Can anybody get anything going here for either side?" Stiles tries to keep it in. Here comes a throw in now for Georgian Court. 40 seconds on the clock. Now Wakacha, surrounded by Callis. Callis now. Callis is going to kick it in deep. No one there, though. And here we go. 30 seconds remaining now. Carissa Robbins with it over to De Silva. Do the Lions have one more rush in them? Can the Eagles force a tie? Amber McGee kicks it out of bounds. Georgian Court ball. 13 seconds left as we go silent for the final 10. And what a finish right there. We're doing the countdown from 10, which can be hard to hear the announcing over. You had a last-second shot there by the Lions. It wouldn't have counted as the buzzer did hit 0 before that would have crossed the line, and that's how it works. It's not like in basketball where if it goes in before the buzzer sounds. So that had to go in before it. Wouldn't have gone in anyways. Campbell made the save. Eagles force a tie. They tie this one 1-1 against Georgian Court. So, hey, it's not a win like you'd hoped, but it's still a big momentum builder. You get that tie now, you're 0-3-1 in conference play. You pick up a point. Now you're kind of trying to build momentum on this for the next game. Eagles had plenty of opportunities in that second half and did a really good job of manufacturing opportunities to get the ball in the net. But with that second half switch to Emma Bennett did a tremendous job in goal for Georgian Court. Alexis Campbell did just as great of a job in goal for the Eagles, and that Eagles defense was great all afternoon. Nothing they could really do on that one goal that was scored into the right corner. But hey, we thank you for joining us today for this matchup between your Post University women's soccer team and Georgian Court University. Stick around for Game 2 with men's soccer taking on Georgian Court around 2:30 or so. We'll go live about 10 minutes before to make sure everything's up and running. But we thank you for joining us. Mike Vesey signing off on the Nest Network, brought to you by the CAC Network. And thank you for joining us live there and on YouTube. We'll see you for the men's soccer game.